Welcome to ACC Career Mode by ACM Racing. ACC Career Mode is back and better than ever, with a 3-month-long series containing over 50 races with mixed formats and challenges. Team up with friends to manage your finances, car performance and sponsor contracts, or go solo and manage your favourite car across the whole season, utilising the daily, weekly and monthly challenges to add some spice to your online racing. The best thing? You decide your career, with 7 different paths to choose from. Minimum effort is no effort. ACC Career Mode Quarter 1 contains 5 races a week, all stewarded and commentated live with a range of formats from 4 to 12 hour endurance races to 25-minute sprints. The full race calendar is available at acm-racing.com, with individual race sign-up taking place on SimGrid. Only available on Assetto Corsa Competizione PC European-based league. Hello everybody and welcome to another round in the 60-minute series. You're joined by me, Doug, in the commentary box, where we're going to be seeing 35, I can't count, 35 of our toughest drivers taking on Watkins Glen, all the way up in upstate New York. So let's see who can walk the walk and talk the talk in New York, as these drivers tackle 60 minutes of one of the more difficult tracks that you can find in North America. We'll have to be excused for just a second because my game seems to be really quiet. I think that should be a little bit better, so you should be able to hear both me and the game quite well. Please do tell me if you can't. Right, okay, so we are currently watching Nikkonen make their way through on the back straight, going through the bus stop chicane now. This is the most difficult part of the track. You really have to use the curbs as much as you can. Coming through turn number 5 now, Nikkonen is using all of that curb on the exit. For turn 6, coming into the boot section, braking at that grey drain cover on the right-hand side of the track, all the way through the left-hand side, hooking the car through, braking the 100-metre board here for tow. Just trying to... hold on, which one? There it is. Trying to use all of that space. On the left-hand side, you can see there's a little bit of tarmac that extends past where that white line is that you really need to use. Around here, you want to be braking just after the 200 board. You know, using all of that space on the inside, making sure you're running out, using as much of the track as possible. Braking at the second sponsor board on the right-hand side. Not the best reference point, but it's really the only one you've got. Late apexing this second-to-last corner. And then through these final 2 corners, you want to gently lift off, let the car pull itself through, and into the final corner, braking just at the end of that Tech Pro barrier on the left-hand side, hooking the car in, using all of that space on the left, on the exit, full throttle all the way to the exit, and that brings Nikkonen across the line, setting pole with a 1-minute 44.560. Now, I don't really know the name of a lot of these corners, and to be honest, I'm not really counting. The way that the Americans count these corners is much different to how I would, because the bus stop doesn't even count as a corner. But as a Brit, I'm counting 4 there. Currently have Leachy for RVR taking pole position. Usaby managing to take an impressive P3, just about 3/10 behind pole. We've got a couple other drivers that are currently out there, and I've just realised I've actually not got the map up right, so you'll have to excuse me for just a second. You'd think that after doing this for so long, I'd know exactly what I was doing all the time, but you would unfortunately be wrong. I hope the audio is actually all right, because it's not too late for me. When I was racing this track the other week, I thought the Ferrari wasn't actually that strong here, and I think we did end up having a Ferrari that won in the end. But now that I'm seeing it, it seems like the Ferrari is a really, really good car, even though it's just underrepresented in my in the other league that I'm in, and I don't know, but we have 7 Ferraris leading the front of the grid, and most of them are from the RVR team. We've got a few more times rocking in just now. I think that's Pasquier who has put themselves in P4 in the 888 McLaren. Having a look at some other people. I was going to click on Flynn. I don't know where he's gone off to. Where is he? Oh, I keep losing people. Here we go. Oliver Flynn for 757 Motorsport, just coming out of turn number 5 now, coming into turn 6, the start of the boot section. Now, you might be wondering why they call it the boot section, but because it's America, the reasoning is pretty simple. It's because it looks like a boot. It's that bottom section of the track that looks like a boot. The shorter section of this track kind of cuts off the top part. We have a yellow flag on the exit of the bus stop as the driver has just returned to the garage. I'm not sure who it was that just returned in the garage. I think it was the number 3 driver of Homer. Now, Flynn I have raced against before in Phoenix Sim Sport, who, you know, here at ACM we have, I'd say, relatively decent ties too. We've got a few drivers who I recognise from their racing here today. We're just going to continue to see where Flynn can put himself as he's shooting his car at the last corner. Misses the apex a little bit. That's not the most ideal line you can be taking out of there. And that puts him in P19. That's 4 seconds off of pole position. I know he can do well better than that. Coming up to a few of the other drivers, we've got Milan Renap for AF Corsa in the number 89 Ferrari 296. Making their way through the first sector of the track. Now, Renap, I don't think they have done much practice. They're being very safe through the bus stop. They're taking it very cautiously, which, you know, can be a good thing, can be a bad thing. But they are losing a lot of time just being really early on the brakes and quite hesitant on the turn-in. The Ferrari is one of those cars that you really do have to rag around a lot, and if you're too overcautious with it, you can actually lose a lot of time. Let me have a look through some of these other drivers. Let's go on with Van Nimmen, who's just coming out of that last corner now. They're in for a 2/10 improvement, and that puts them up to P1 with a 1 minute 43.780. A lot of the RVR drivers are incredibly quick, right towards the front of the grid, and I'm really excited to see what these drivers can do. I think we have 6 RVR drivers. Nope, never mind. 1, 2, 3. 5 RVR drivers in the top 10. Bubor just got knocked out of the top 10 by another driver who had improved over time. And 8 out of the top 10 cars are also all Ferrari 296s. So does that say more about the drivers or more about the car? I will leave that up to you to decide. Let's look back at Ely in the 992 Porsche GT3. Really hooking that car into the apex there, utilising the camber of the corner as much as he possibly can, trying to get a good run out of the corner, gets up to P11 with a 1 minute 45.0, very good lap time from the Porsche driver. Bubor will be the next to cross the line in the number 12, and I've just realised I haven't actually synced the livery, so I apologise if you uploaded your livery very recently, because I haven't got it. I was in a bit of a rush to get here. I do apologise. That's the number 21 car of Chen, who has crashed in the bus stop, and the number 909, white flagged, going very slowly. They haven't validated their lap time. A lot of American machinery out there today, maybe looking for a bit of a home turf advantage, as Boyar goes P21 in the number 747 Swiss RC McLaren. Again, I sincerely apologise to everybody because I haven't actually installed the liveries. I was in a very big hurry to try and get the stream set up and making sure that I could do this all very well, and I've forgotten to do the one thing I was meant to do earlier. which was, of course, to install his livery. So if your livery it has been uploaded and I haven't got it, I do apologise. Next time I do a stream, I'll actually remember to get things set up properly. Because the alternative would be I have to leave, resync, and then rejoin. It's already generated the DDS file, so it's a bit broken anyway. So I do apologise. I should have had that done beforehand, but hopefully I'll make up for it with some epic commentary. Looking through other drivers who are currently setting better laps. Sachin, who has, or Sachin, or I've forgotten how he's asked me to pronounce it. They are coming to the end of their time at Phoenix as one of the lead members, and they've done such an incredible job of doing that. But at the moment, they are chasing down a better lap time, as they are about 3 seconds off of pole position in the number 724 Aston Martin. Now, if you're new to the world of ACC, these two cars that you can see on screen right now, the Ferrari 296 and the Aston Martin Vantage, are both... Oh, wow! Yeah, so, note to self, those... or note to everyone, those barriers are not as destructible as they look. Darkness just going a little bit late on the brakes, goes straight on, and I reckon that Darkness thought those barriers were destructible. Unfortunately, mate, they're not. They're those magic barriers that they've taken from Spa-Francorchamps, specifically the ones at the end of the pit lane. Let's look back at Kelly in the number 91 RSR Ferrari, rolling his car through that final corner, carrying plenty of momentum, but he's not due for an improvement. He's across the line, sets a 44.8. But that is not a lap time that he can be very proud of, and it looks like his return at the garage, he might have just ran out of fuel. Let's look back at the number 123 BMW of Vidal coming out of the final corner, looking for a very slight improvement. Doesn't make any improvement, unfortunately, but they have cemented themselves in P12, going out for one more qualifying run. Looking now to Yuzubi in the number 29 RSR Ferrari, who is going to be trying to extend that track as much as possible, trying to gain as much time as he possibly can through this final sector of the track. They're currently just about a 10th down from pole position, and with Yuzubi's pace, they're very much capable of achieving it. They just really need to nail this last corner if they want a really decent chance at snatching pole position. And it looks like that maybe wasn't as good of a run as they could have hoped for, not holding as much momentum through that final corner, cementing themselves in P2. If they're lucky, they might have time to do one more run if they go into the pit lane and then restart, but it will take a little bit more effort than that, unfortunately, for Yuzubi. Baskin and Pfeiffer, both in the HLF Aston Martins, are not qualifying, it would seem, and are both wanting to start from the back of the grids. Caselli in the number 24 Karin Racing Ferrari 296 is currently making their way through the heel of the boot, and they're going to be coming up to the final few corners now. This corner here, which I believe is turn 9, is one of the more awkward corners. Oh, going a little bit wide on the exit there. You have to aim for such a late apex, and for most people's driving styles, I think that those sort of late apex corners are really going to throw you off, because you're not expecting it to be like that. Really good exit out of that final corner, 0.6 improvement. Where's that going to put them? Up into P5, the number 24 Ferrari 296 of Mikael Vaselli has made their way up into 5th. They've invalidated this lap, so that's going to be P5 for them, unless some of the other drivers behind them can improve on their times. Looking back now to Nikkonen for the ACM Racing number 909 Ferrari 296, coming into the boot section now. He's going to be looking to try and push as hard as he possibly can to to get more positions on qualifying. He is a little bit far back. He needs to gain more than 2/10 to gain any position. So there is a high chance that Raikkonen will be able to improve their time, but not their position in qualifying. And it's all going to depend on how well they can tackle this final sector of the track, these final 4 corners, which are all quite awkward corners, very, very different from a lot of other tracks in ACC, where you really do have to prioritize that late apex, as opposed to trying to get in early and chuck it out on the exit as much as possible, using all of the track there. About a 10th.5 gain coming through the final sector of the track. And Raikkonen is going to improve their time, but not their position, as they cross the finish line, setting a 1:44.255, improving their time, but not position, cementing Raikkonen in P9 in qualifying. Nikita Kachan, currently in the number 96 Porsche, is going to be trying to make their way up the grid as well. Porsche is one of the more difficult cars to control, especially at Watkins Glen, with how much you have to abuse the curbs at the bus stop. It's more suited to cars with an engine that is more towards the front, because then you can really, really abuse the curbs, and the weight transfer of the car isn't thrown off too much. A lot of other drivers are going to be finishing their qualifying attempts now, but it is up to Kachan to try and make their way up the grid. Really decent exit there, out of turn number 9 through turn 10, going almost flat, using all of the track and then some, coming through the final corner, trying to slingshot themselves out. It's another improvement for time, but not for position. Despite a really good exit out of the last corner, Kachan has solidified themselves in P19, but ultimately it's Lichi for RVR who's going to end up taking pole position. Looking at the other drivers now, Darkness keeps P26 with a 1:46.630. A really reasonable time from this driver here, but ultimately it's Lichi for RVR in first place. RVR have a front row lockout with Lichi and Van Nimmen starting alongside each other, with Userby in third position. Well, now I suppose it is time to tell you about career mode. ACM is running their career mode Season 1 right now, and this race is a part of it. Even if you're not racing, you can still earn money and points in the simulated championship by signing up to career mode. This will allow you to choose your path, choose your car, your strategy, your sponsors, everything. And you will be tasked with managing your finances and your car throughout a racing season. So get yourself signed up to career mode at acm-racing.com, because career mode is awesome. It's changed a lot from the trial season, and you don't have to drive every single race to get money. You will get money no matter what, but you do have to keep an eye on your car and your sponsors, because if you forget, you're going to end up with a lot of repairs to do on your car, and that will result in you having worse performances and not getting as much money. So it's all about management, and a lot of other drivers are going to be looking to manage themselves out here today with a 1-hour race around Watkins Glen. Hopefully, these drivers aren't going to go bowling at T1, with 35 drivers taking the start here at 60 minutes of Watkins Glen with ACM. We're going to be in for an exciting time. This track, there are a few key areas where you can overtake. The boot section can be good to encourage drivers to overtake, as well as potential dive bombs into the bus stop. Though these are risky moves, it does make for really good content if you are sat on the other end of the screen. 9 of the 10 cars that have qualified in the top 10 are Ferraris, with Pasquier the only outlier in the 888 McLaren for Swiss RC. Again, I do sincerely apologise for not having people's liveries loaded. I should have been more prepared for this, and I was not. So, here we go. Let me just have a quick look, see how things are going. And our drivers are now going to start on the formation lap to get themselves ready for 1 hour of Watkins Glen. We also do want to give a big thank you to our sponsors over at Uplay. With Assetto Corsa Evo now out, you can get it even cheaper than you can on Steam if you go to Uplay. So feel free, click that link, click that affiliate link. Thank you to Uplay for supporting ACM. Head over to Uplay if you want to get started on your sim racing journey, and with the Assetto Corsa Evo on the horizon and continuing to improve over time, it can only go up from here. So make sure you can get Assetto Corsa Evo for cheap while you still can through our partners over at Uplay. Thank you again to Uplay for being one of ACM's big partners throughout our time. Now that we're a SimGrid Gold partner, which is an incredible achievement, you know, it's awesome to have a company like Uplay to sponsor us, and it's even better for you, the viewer, because you can go and you can get your games for cheap, even if it's not sim racing related. You can get lots of games for cheap through Uplay. The drivers are coming out of the bus stop chicane now, and one thing that's always confused me at a track map for this is that the bus stop isn't even counted as a corner, it's just the bus stop. So that's another thing that confuses me about this track, is that it feels like a lot of American tracks just have weird ways of counting. Don't get me started on Indianapolis and its corners 10A and 10B, despite being two separate corners. Anyway, I'm going to get myself carried away. Now what the drivers are going to be trying to do on this warm-up lap is to, well, warm up their tyres. The formation lap is used because we do rolling starts here in GT3s, because a lot of the GT3s will just spin their wheels and crash if we did standing starts. So the formation lap allows for drivers to get their tyres up to temperature, since tyre blankets also aren't allowed, I think, for the formation lap. I don't know the rules of GT3, but what I do know is you have to get those tyres within an optimum window as quick as you can to get that grip level to where you want it. So the biggest and best strategy to do is to drag your brakes, which means to gently hold brakes and throttle at the same time, so that you are generating temperature in the brakes and warming up the tyres from the inside. Don't try and do this in real life, by the way. I don't think it works as well as it does in the simulator. A lot of drivers might also try weaving, but what this does, actually, is grain the tyres. It isn't as good for the car as it is to just drag the brakes. So, even though I'm not as good as a driver as I am a commentator, even from my experience, I can tell you in ACC, the best thing to do is to drag your brakes. And hopefully this race won't drag on, as we're about to go into the final corner. All the cars are lining up. We are currently in the number 747, starting from the pit lane, maybe trying to avoid the potential bowling at turn 1. And while that sign might act as a reminder, we're going to get a reminder that these drivers are about to go racing as we go green for 60 minutes of Watkins Glen with ACM. Leachy covers the outside of the track immediately, trying to get a really good run through turn number 1. We're going to go into Helicam, make sure there isn't any chaos happening behind, but Leachy gets an incredible start. He's already away, and it looks like we had a relatively clean turn 1, but that doesn't mean that we should keep... Oh, never mind. Oh, gosh, yeah, no, there's been a bit of an incident back here. That's Tyler Dons, who's ended up in the wall. A couple other drivers seem to have spun off and been collected there. So I really don't know what happened there. Let's have a little instant replay there and hope this doesn't break my ACC race control as it has done in the past. So, Helicam, come on, do your thing. Oh, no, I've just ended up catching the tail end of it. Yeah, so it looks like there was a car on the inside of Don's who spun him round. A lot of the other drivers seem to have been collected in that incident, and he's just ended up in the... he's ended up in the pit lane, and he said, no thank you, that's enough for me. And he's also left immediately. So again, not ideal. I think one of the other drivers might have got caught up in that big incident. A lot of the other drivers up front seem relatively clean. Kragnaz in RVR has been taken back. That is a car that is spun out. That is the McLaren, I believe, of Extreme, who spun it at the boot. Again, it's a very easy thing to do because the rear end of the car, especially if you're mid-engine, really does like to step out at the toe corner, which is corner number 7 here at Watkins Glen. But looking further forward, Callum Williams for Ferrari has made their way up past Flynn to gain P18. They're going to look a little bit further up in that 296 to make a big move on Ustinov in the first corner, making a big dive, uses that space on the outside, but that Mustang is going to look to out-drag him coming up through 2 and 3. The 296 runs a little bit wide, and that's opened up the door for Katchan to go through. Now the Ferrari and Porsche going side by side. The Porsche has the inside line and coming up to the bus stop. Instead of gaining that position that he originally wanted to gain on the number 35 of Ustinov, he's now lost it. And the number 96 of Katchan, he's going to go for a move into the bus stop. He knew that was risky. He's backed out of it, and that is a big crash. That's a huge crash. Not slowing down for yellow flags is, well, it's not the best way of going about your race, and that's a big incident that has seemed to have caught out Kelly from the looks of it. Now let's do another instant replay and see if I can catch what happened there. Why did these drivers crash into the bus stop? I think there might have been an overtake that was trying to get made that definitely did not get made. So coming into the bus stop chicane, Kelly going side by side with a BMW. This isn't going to end well, and it doesn't. Kelly tags the BMW. Both of them are sent into a spin. They do hold their brakes, thankfully, but other drivers just don't see it coming. And those are 3 different drivers. The 3 drivers we were focusing on basically just went into that incident full speed, crashing into Kelly. And that is not how you want the race to go. Kelly, obviously frustrated by that. I think I would be too. And that Ferrari looks like it's been chucked through a washing machine. On a high spin cycle. The field started to spread out a little bit, and that's mostly because a lot of these drivers have actually been caught up in a lot of incidents. Sprout currently in the what seems to be the old Ferrari, the 488, currently in P30 behind Schuderat. Darkness in P26, currently chasing down the Ford Mustang of Campio and Boyar in the number 747 McLaren. Looks like that McLaren and the Mustang are threatening to go side by side into the bus stop. And that Mustang makes a really big move, almost hits the McLaren, trying to scare him offline. The two are going side by side. Sachin's going to have to be very, very careful. Well, Sachin's going to have to be careful, sorry, of how they're going to make that move. Looking up the inside now of the Mustang. Can he make that move stick? He's got on the bonnet cam. The Bentley brakes really early on the inside there. That's opened up Sachin to go around the outside. He's got the McLaren just behind him now, who's now going to go for another move, but that's Schuderat behind him, Raskin in front of him in the number 117 Bentley. Sachin's basically getting pushed up to the track by the McLaren. Lots of drama happening here. The McLaren looks for the outside line. Sachin affords them the space, but is that space going to get used all the way by the McLaren? No, he gets shuffled out off that line. Darkness able to take that move from him. Goes a little bit wide, and that is Schuderat right back past him again. Really good battling here. This isn't even for the lead, as Cheshire seems to have made a bit of a spin coming through turn number 1. They've just lost a good chunk of positions. They're now down to P12 from P6. Going back to Jean Boyard, currently in the number 747. That Mustang in the background of Campio, making a really decent move on Callum Williams, who had that earlier incident, crashing into a stopped car Again, holding that inside line for 2, which becomes the outside line for 3, and that Mustang is going to roar past. Of course, because this is the Mustang's home turf here at Watkins Glen, it does get a horsepower advantage, which is how it's pulling away so far from the Ferrari on the straight. It's not because the Ferrari has just a really not very nice engine, as there is another spin in the bus stop for one of the BMWs. Darkness seems to have lost positions, but that's Vidal who'd spun in the number 123 BMW M4. Darkness, again, not having the best of days, and that is Vidal, who's just completely gone off the track. I think he thought they were doing the shorter layout that cut off the boot section, but unfortunately this isn't Mario Kart, so the layout of the track doesn't change between laps. Vidal's now lost a lot of positions, down to P30 now from where they were before. Just looking for the closest gaps that I can possibly find. Let's look now at Eric Poor and Cheshire. The Racing Team Oberberg Mustang, a very striking neon green and purple Mustang. Well, he's just made way for Cheshire, it would seem, pulling all the way at the right-hand side of the track, giving the Ferrari all the space that he could have asked for and more to make their way back up. That's very sportsmanlike from Poor, who has basically let that Ferrari pass knowing that Cheshire was way far up the grid and that it probably wasn't a fight worth having. Although this can be a good learning opportunity for Poor if they do want to try and get quicker, as they might try and follow the line. Hitting the brakes quite early there into the bus stop. I think just not wanting to hit the back of that Ferrari under braking. Trying to make any sort of move in the bus stop is an almost guaranteed death wish. Darkness is unfortunately in the pit lane. I think he is repairing the damage that he had. And I'm not sure if there is a mandatory stop this race. I'm just really quickly going to look it up. There is no mandatory stop for this race, so it means that drivers can make that stop, but it's more than likely not going to be worth it. These GT3 cars are very, very good to just put a whole tank of fuel in, get some tyres on, and they'll easily last for a full 60 minutes. Again, having those sorts of calculations and knowing what you need to do beforehand, planning the race out is half the battle when it comes to racing. We've got Bubor in the number 12 RVR Ferrari with Raikkonen just behind him, making himself very well known in that Ferrari's mirrors. Into turn number 1, Raikkonen does edge ever so closer, but the number 12 looks to have a really good exit out of turn number 1, trying to blast their way through the flat-out section here, and coming up to the bus stop now. Bubor is trying to cut as much of the track as they can down. That's why you need to hug those the inside curbs, but not touch them through turn number 3 and 4. Having a really good run through the bus stop, running slightly on the dirt, but able to keep the car going. Raikkonen falling back slightly. Pasquier being the only non-Ferrari to qualify in the top 10. Currently third place, with Yuzabi just chasing them down, coming into toe corner for another time, the 5th time now, as they're going to be flying onto onto the base of the boot section. Yuzabi again looks for a little bit of a move, thinks better of it, sticks behind them. Yuzabi's just piling on that pressure, hoping that the 888 McLaren is going to make some sort of mistake. But the way that they've been driving so far, having gained more positions, doesn't look that way. Gap between Yuzabi and Pasquier is getting closer and closer. If Yuzabi has a really good exit at this final corner and they can use that slipstream, they might be able to make a bit of a move into turn number 1. Again, they are making themselves known in the mirror, not exactly following the slipstream of Pasquier, but just sticking slightly in their mirror, making them a little bit uneasy, piling that pressure on, basically pushing them through turn 2 and 3. Usually looks to pull on the left-hand side of the McLaren. Looks once, looks twice. Can he brake later? McLaren has the inside line. Usually does look for that move into the bus stop, thinks better of it. But that might have set them up to have a really good run through this next corner. Usually looked for a move into tow. Well, it doesn't look for a move, sorry. He does get quite close to the back end of that McLaren at tow corner. And he is going to be looking to continue to try and make some moves. You'll have to excuse me as I am currently quite parched. Usually is basically pushing the 888 McLaren through the corners, trying to make that move, trying to just pile on as much pressure as they can, trying to follow Pasquier through the corners and figure out where their weak points are, because the longer you stick behind the driver, the more mistakes they're going to start making. There you can see them running in the grass slightly for the braking zone for turn 1, and oh, I thought UW was going to run into the back of him there for a second, but UW just able to keep it behind the McLaren, and he is going to look for a bit of a move, I think. Sooner rather than later, that move is going to get made. UW looks to the outside towards the bus stop chicane. How are the two going to make it through here? Is UCB going to go for a late braking move? No, but the McLaren looks to be thrown offline. It goes a little bit wide. UCB looking around the outside and makes the move stick. Brilliant move from the RSL Ferrari. Number 29 makes that move on Pasquier. And now Ferrari have 3 cars in the top 3, with the 888 McLaren chasing UCB down, trying to get revenge for that. Number 17 seems to have crashed at tow corner. Of Extreme. Again, it is a really, really easy mistake to make, because the car, mid-engine cars do tend to be a little bit rear happy on the exit of that corner. It's a very, very easy mistake to make. I know I've made it a good couple of times, so unfortunately Extreme's race is going from bad to worse. They're currently in P31. Not really able to make many things happen here. We're going to have a look back at Ustinov for Flat Tire Motorsport, who is in a 3-way battle for P21 with Scherderett and Kragnaz just behind them. These other 2 drivers have been pushing very, very hard to try and get that Mustang off the line. I think Ustinov was one of the drivers who was involved in that big crash earlier, that big pile-up on the exit of the bus stop. Extreme currently trying to correct themselves on the exit of tow corner. There's a white flag there, so other drivers are going to need to be aware of them. Schuderett goes on the outside, the Mustang having to brake quite early, being forced to the shallower line. A little bit of contact between the 2. The Ferrari doesn't really have anywhere to go, and the Ford having to hold back 2 different cars at once. The McLaren holds a bit of a wider line and has spun into the tyre barrier, and that's going to be the end of Schuderett's race for P21. As this has invited Williams into the battle, as Kragnaz is now just behind Ustinov. This battle is going to continue on. I think it's the RVR Ferrari. It's going to want to overtake the number 296 of Williams. I say that as Williams didn't really have a good run through turn 1. That Ferrari still does look absolutely battered. Might cost them a little bit of the top end, which is why Kragnaz is going to maybe look for a bit of a move coming into the bus stop chicane. Again, these moves are very risky, but the reward is high if you can make it pay off. Williams is, oh, well, both of them kind of get thrown offline a little bit, but ultimately Williams is able to just hold them behind. Vidal and Homer are currently locked in a little battle for P25 here. And Vidal has made that move to get up into P25 after that little spin earlier going on the inner loop of the track. They're making their way back up the grid, and they've got about 12 seconds to go before they can get up to Cragnaz. Cragnaz looking up the inside of Williams at the heel. Manages to work their way up the inside of the number 296. Very, very well executed move from the number 14 RVR Ferrari. Sherderat is now back in this battle, even though they have a little bit of damage done. Bubor currently in the pit lane, probably due to damages to the car. And there goes Sherderat into the pit lane. Jamboya currently in P16, just a couple tenths behind Kashan in the number 96 Porsche, who had a little bit of a snap there. And the McLaren is now side by side with a Porsche with the inside line into the bus stop. It's a move certainly made, and that's number 747 up into P15. But the number 96 driver isn't going to be holding back for much longer. He's going to try and get that move done again, and that is an Aston Martin that's run off the track. I think that is Sashin. Again, really not having the best of times after being caught up in a couple of collisions early on in the race. They have pitted, I think, to repair the damages from earlier, but that has put them on the back foot as Flynn is currently trying to chase down Kachan for P16. These three drivers are going to be locked in this duel for quite a while. A lot of the gaps have started to open up a lot. There's a three-way battle for P15. Looking back to Ustinov for the battle for P20. The number 35 Mustang is really going to be trying quite hard to keep themselves in the top 20 finish. Of course, being in an American car, they are going to want to impress the home crowd by bringing that American muscle across the finish line with a top 20 finish, the number 35 car. Being hounded by the number 14 RVR Ferrari of Cragnaz, who ultimately came off better from that battle earlier, and we've had a crash with the number 89 car in the bus stop chicane. Thankfully they are off the track, but that has been a bit of a weird spin for them. They might have just got it wrong on the entry of the corner. Ultimately all these other drivers are going to be making it through. Number 89... spun back onto the racing line. You've really got to hope that no one's going to get collected by that. And the other drivers are able to make their way back past him with relative ease. And that's not a very good spin for Renap in the bus stop chicane. Currently P30. Back to the matter at hand with Ustinov and Cragnaz currently coming through the tow corner. The Ford Mustang is shuffled a little bit wide. They're going 2x2, and we're going into what I'm assuming is Cragnaz's favourite corner, which is the heel. Looking for a move on the inside. The Mustang does go a little bit wide, misses the apex. He's affording that Ferrari the room. Very, very good battling between the two drivers. The RVR Ferrari is maybe looking for a bit of a switchback. He seems to have it on the exit, up the inside, into the corner where you only really have to lift the second to last corner of the track. The Mustang's keeping it for now, but it's very clear Ustinov is being put under pressure by the number 14 RVR Ferrari 296. He's not using all the track on the exit. Cragnaz knows it, and he's going to try and exploit that weakness as much as they possibly can. Really just trying to hound that Mustang into making a mistake. The number 35 Mustang. Again, he's still holding on very, very well. The Mustang is not really my cup of tea when it comes to how it feels. A lot of my racing teammates and other racing friends have described it as an updated version of the Jag. Ferrari looking around the outside as they come into the boot section. They're going side by side through that long left-hander. The Ferrari with the inside line now coming into toe corner. The move is almost certainly done. There's a little bit of contact coming into toe corner. Pushed Ustinov a little bit wide, and that's Cognaz with the move made. But was that a racing incident, or was there any driver at fault there? From me, I can't make a proper judgment of that. That'll be down to the stewards. But to be honest, we've had a relatively clean race so far, aside from that one incident before where we had a yellow flag on the exit of the bus stop and 3 drivers who were fighting for position basically ignored these yellow flags and ploughed into the incident at full racing speed, which not only damaged their cars, but damaged the cars that were already stopped. Back through the gaps. We've got the Battle of the Bimmers with Flynn and Steiner currently battling for position for P17. A little bit further up, we've got Maple in the Team Parker Racing Porsche with Poor just behind in the number 36 Mustang, pounding them for 11th position. Gap between these two is very, very close together, so it's likely we're going to be seeing a little bit more action from these two drivers. That bright green Mustang is really going to be trying to make the most of the slipstream here, and the Porsche's lack of top end. Again, as a driver, you know, outside of the commentary box, I have tried both the Porsche and the Mustang. I tried the Mustang initially when it had come out, and I'd basically come to the conclusion that it just wasn't my sort of car. With it being very rear happy, having extremely long gears, it just didn't feel right to me. There are some cars that I've been able to just hop in, drive, and it just feels really natural, but the Mustang kind of made me have to change my way of thinking when I tried driving it, and after a good few laps of testing it at my favourite testing track, I decided that the big old American boy was not for me, and I myself have been partial to a little of the Ferrari 296, as is most of the grid, as I believe, again, we have 8 of the top 10 drivers being put in Ferrari 296s. One such driver who is not is Harry in the number 8 ACM Aston Martin. Again, as we do get to this this part of the race where things do start to get a little bit more boring, I say, as Vidal looks for a move coming into the inner loop, the two cars seeming not that quick. Keep my eye on this battle though. Actually, tell you what battle I'm going to keep an eye on. This, a 4-way battle for P16. I'll tell you about Uplay, ACM's title partner, with Assetto Corsa Evo now out in early access, and with plenty of updates to come. There is one place where you can get Assetto Corsa Evo cheaper than you can on Steam, and that is Uplay. Head over to Uplay to get the best deals on sim racing games, as well as, well, any other game that you want. So head over to Uplay. Thank you again to Uplay for sponsoring ACM and being a partner of ACM for as long as it has been. I don't know how long it's been now. You know, it makes me a really bad commentator not knowing how long ACM's partners have been partnered with us. But we have Flynn and Katchan currently battling for position, and that looks like Williams and Vidal are having a little bit of a battle coming through turn number 1. The BMW doesn't have as good of an exit. Williams is able to make more of the exit of the room on the exit of turn number 1. Williams up into P21. Ustinov is in the pit lane. I think it is for damages that were sustained earlier on in the race. But Flynn has a train of cars that are following him. The number 96 of Katchan, the number 30 of Steiner, and the number 253 of Campio. Also looking to get involved. Oh, there's a big crash! Big crash for Campio behind, who just seemed to get it all wrong coming out of the toe corner. We're going to go back and we're just going to see what happened here. And yeah, they just dipped a couple wheels in the grass. And, yeah, end up spinning the car out. Unfortunate move from Campio, the number 253. They've now fallen back substantially. Found themselves down by a bunch of positions now. That's Campio in the pit lane. I think they're calling it there. Unfortunate for them, but they still have a 4-car battle. For P16, as now it's Katchan, Steiner and Kragnaz. If we go back now to Manny Steiner in the Turner Motorsport BMW, the number 30 car here, is currently defending, trying to keep Kragnaz and Katchan behind. And Kragnaz looks to have made a move past Katchan as well, so must have been a bit of a mistake from the Porsche, who is still chasing down to try and get that position. Go back to Kragnaz, going a little bit wide, coming into the boot section. Porsche is really trying to hound him for position, really trying to exploit any sort of weakness that they can find. Coming through toe corner now. Kragnaz just about 2/10 behind Steiner's BMW. Looking for a move on the inside of heel corner. Puts their nose up the inside, the BMW goes wide. And again, we've seen Kragnaz make moves here. It's seemingly their favourite corner on the track, because they've made plenty of moves there. And with another half an hour left in the race, I'm sure there's plenty more to come. That's Kragnaz up to P17. Steiner now under threat from Katchan in the number 96 Porsche. It's a battle of German machinery on American soil, or should I say American tarmac, as the two are continuing their battle now for P18. A little bit further back, Campio and Pfeiffer both in the pit lane, losing a lot of time. Darkness up in a P26 just from surviving the race. And again, even in a 1-hour race, you would be surprised at how far just keeping your nose clean can get you. And while Darkness might have had an incident earlier on in the race, right at the start, I think getting caught up in one of the earlier crashes, they've pitted, they've taken their damages, and they're just trying to keep it clean for the rest of the race. And that's Darkness, P26 right now, who unfortunately I don't have the livery for, because I forgot to sync the liveries before the race, and that! What happened there? Was that a bit of snap oversteer? I am really confused as to what happened there. I think they might have overcorrected the car a little bit too much and spun it out, going the other way. Let's have a look here. On the driver cam. Yes. So, coming into the corner, they overcorrect the car, they stall it coming through the corner, and that has unfortunately what has happened here. Sorry about that, everyone. That was very weird. I didn't think that would happen. But yes, that is a very strange spin from Darkness, who I think, just overcorrected the car. I mean, he did promise that he would be spinning, and I'm glad I at least caught one of these on camera. So, while I'm sorry, you have also provided some brilliant content, as Goswell is now under pressure from Cheshire. Yeah, so that's 12 times fast, as Goswell is currently being pushed through these corners by the number 343 Ferrari, whose livery, again, I don't have, because I forgot to sync the liveries before running the stream. It's because I wanted to just get it started. So if any of you drivers are going to be in another race that I will end up streaming, promise, pinky promise, I will actually remember to sync the liveries for next time. Vidal currently in the pit lane, I think with damage from earlier. Goswell has Cheshire just 2/10 behind. Cheshire does go a little bit wide out of turn 10. Through 11 they go. Harry getting very, very close to hitting the wall there. And Cheshire, again, just behind, about 3 or 4 tenths the gap now. Goswell widening it with every lap, continuing to drive that Aston Martin very, very quickly. The number 8 car currently in 8th position. There's been another crash at the bus stop chicane. The number 3 car of Homer seems to have had the incident this time. Let's go back and get another instant replay. I figured out how to fix the instant replay thing this time. Thomas Homer in the Proton Competition Mustang, the number 3 car, really not having the best of times. He's coming into the bus stop chicane. He has the Bentley overtaking him. And he looks like he's going to get a little bump from behind. And that is one of the RVR cars who seems to have hit him off the track. And that's unfortunately put them a little bit further back than they probably would have liked. As now they're getting lapped by Nikkonen. That's a bump from one of the RVR cars that has ended up putting Homer further back and with a lot of damage to the front end of that Mustang. Not sure which of the RVR drivers it was, but whoever it was is probably going to get a little bit of a slap on the wrist from the stewards. Another RVR driver currently locked in a battle is Legru with Viselli, number 24, and the number 137 car currently battling for position. Coming out to the bus stop chicane, the 2 Ferraris are going to be dueling it out. The RVR makes a little look to the inside, looks to the outside. They try and make a move, look to be a little bit of overlap, but Viselli is currently just ahead and is managing to eke out a little bit more of a gap on Legru, coming through turn number 5 onto the inner loop now, where they go onto the boot section of the track. Number 24 is still fighting with the number 137, but going back to Goswell and Cheshire slightly further back on the track. Again, they're going to be coming into the boot section of the track now. Cheshire looks for a move on the inside. Harry covers it off. Says, no thank you, you're going to have to try harder than that to make that move. Cheshire's going to continue to hound the Aston Martin into making some sort of a mistake. Ferrari look to be aiming for a bit of a late apex there, trying to really maximise the exit. Goswell keeping himself in the middle of the track, leaving, well, not really, leaving a car's width. Number 296 is another crash. That's Williams, who's gone off at turn number 1. While this is an interesting thing to think of, I am more focused on these battles towards the front of the grid, because some of these drivers are a little bit closer together now. The Ferrari does go a little bit wide, maybe missing the apex there just a little bit at that final corner. It's Paul who has lost a position to Chen in the number 21 Ford Mustang, who's currently flashing the Ferrari ahead to get out of the way. Steiner and Flynn look to be very, very close to each other. Flynn on the inside. Steiner has a little bit of a slide through turn number 9 and barely manages to keep the car under control. That's a move made for Steiner. Missing so many overtakes. Goswell and Cheshire are going to be going side by side. Cheshire on the inside, coming into this section of the track. He might not have as good of an exit as Harry, who's used all of the space. Harry now with the inside line, coming into the boot section of the track, going side by side, coming through turn number 6, coming through 7, turn toe. Cheshire really hugging that inside line, using the camber to their advantage. That did put Harry off the line, which isn't on camber. It's a little bit less forgiving to take the corner if you do go wide. And we've seen that again happen with Cheshire, who's been able to make that move up into P8. Ely and Boyar currently locked in for a battle for P14. The Porsche and the McLaren currently looking very, very close to each other. Chen and Paul have again swapped positions. Ooh, don't know what happened there. Sorry about that. Two drivers very, very close to each other. The McLaren looking on the inside. McLaren not looking on the inside. Coming into heel. Ely kind of makes that move, or lets that move happen. Lets Boyar back past him. The number 747 has made a move. Kelly has now received a 5-second penalty. We'll have a look back forward again. Between Vaselli and Legru, who are currently going in a battle for P5. With two different RVR drivers on the podium, RVR probably will want to get even more drivers in the top 5, and Legru is their closest driver to being able to do that. Just about 2/10, a quarter of a second between the two drivers. It's going to be one tiny mistake from Vaselli. That's all it's going to be. That's all Legru is going to need if they want to make any sort of move on the Karin Racing Ferrari. He is driving like normal, as though that Ferrari is not even behind him. He is driving while being under that pressure. And while racing is, again, about outright pace and talent, it is just as much about that as it is about the mental fortitude that you really do need to have while you're racing. You need to be able to just shrug off the pressure. You need to look at the pressure that's being put on you, and you just need to put it at the back of your head. Kragnaz in the RVR Ferrari has a 15-second penalty, as one of the Porsches is now exiting the pit lane. I believe that's number 96. Who's come out of the pit lane just into this battle, or rather just behind this battle. Put them in a little bit of clean air, which will allow them to continue to lap at their own pace. But the number 24 is still under a lot of pressure. A little bit further forward, Leachy has fallen back behind Van Nimmen and Usaby, so I have probably missed some action towards the front of the grid, but now Pasquier is just behind Leachy, who is going to want to try and hold on to a podium. Gap now just about 0.3 of a second, and these two drivers are going to be going wheel to wheel at some point. These two drivers are at a very, very similar pace. The last lap that Pasquier had was about 0.2 quicker than Leachy's best, but than Leachy's last one, but Leachy's best lap is about 0.1 quicker than Pasquier, so it's all about consistency as well. Can Leachy maintain that consistency over the last 20 minutes of this race, or is Pasquier going to get the better of him? Go back now to Chen Zi, who is currently just in front of Boyar in the number 747 McLaren. The two are going to be battling a little bit more as the Mustang is forced a little bit wide. And again, the camber at toe corner really helps the car to muscle in. McLaren defending that inside line, but then moves back to cover the outside, and Chen has backed out of making any move. You look back at Legrue and Viselli. The two cars are very, very close to each other coming through the bus stop. Viselli might have had a little bit of a better run through the bus stop, just being able to carry more momentum through the corner. Legrue still chasing down the number 24 Ferrari for that top 5 finish. Apologies if there's any blinking or any random server issues. I have been having this happen a lot with ACC recently, and I'm still trying to figure out why it is happening. So I do sincerely apologise if there are any weird graphical things where suddenly all the cars jump to being in the pit lane and then back to not being in the pit lane. Ely now has a 5-second penalty. I believe that is for a collision earlier on in the race. Homer seems to have had another spin into toe corner. That's put them even further back behind Ustinov and Sherderit, who I think that is Homer retiring from the race now. After having multiple collisions, Homer seems to have had enough and has unfortunately called it a day. Back to Viselli and the Gru's fight though for P5. Coming at the bus stop chicane, the two Ferraris are one by one going through. The Gru is really just trying to get as much performance out of that Ferrari as they can. Their last lap and best lap were faster than Viselli, so it's likely that Legrue feels that they're being held up by Viselli, but Viselli is just holding on enough to keep the RVR Ferrari behind them. Two of them going one by one through the toe corner, and Legrue's really going to have to push to try and make a move in the last 16.5 minutes of this race, using all of the track. There's another 5-second penalty for Ely and a stop-go 30 for Kachan in the number 96 Porsche. Very, very severe penalty. Might be for speeding in the pit lane or for something completely different. I will be looking at the stewarding stuff for this as well. Leachy and Pasquier going side by side now, coming in at the bus stop chicane. The McLaren looked to have a really good run through turns 2 and 3, and again, making an overtake here is not going to be good, and that is Pasquier making contact with the RVR Ferrari, who's just managed to keep it out of the wall, and that's another Ferrari that seems to have joined them there. Don't know where that other Ferrari came from. Leachy is still leading Pasquier, but ultimately, like I'd said, trying to make this move is a tricky one. Legrue ultimately has gained on this, as they're now up into P3 after all three cars had a bit of a struggle, and that is Viselli. That is Viselli down a position, Pasquier down a position, and Legrue has jumped not only Viselli, but also Pasquier and Leachy, his teammate, who were both fighting for position. Lots of team drama seeming to be happening here. As now Pasquier is going to have Lichi to continue to catch, but with a 5-second gap between Nagura and Lichi, it's still gonna. It still seems pretty set in stone that we're gonna have 2 RVR cars on the podium. Chen seems to have gone a little bit wide at the corner on the exit of the bus stop chicane, losing a couple of positions to Ely and Pragnaz. Both of whom have penalties, so technically if they can actually stay behind these 2 drivers, they'll be able to technically gain those positions with the penalties applied. Pragnaz makes a move up the inside of Toe corner, a very, very well executed move from the number 14 Ferrari. Ely looking to the outside, there is just enough space, but ultimately can't make that move happen, and even aiming for the switchback, the Porsche on the corner exit, not able to best the Ferrari. Ultimately, Ely now down P15. Got a train of 3 cars here battling for P4. Lichi, Pasquier, Vaselli currently coming into the boot section of the track. The Ferrari of Vaselli goes a little bit wide on the exit of turn number 6. Puts them just in the dirt, which is not ideal. But it does deploy a tactical smoke screen for the car behind. Nikkonen now looking to get involved as well. So this could be a 4-way battle for P4 between Lichi, Pasquier, Vaselli and Nikkonen. 3 Ferraris and 1 McLaren. One of these things is not like the other. Ustinov has lost another position to Scherderer further down the grid. Steiner and Flynn still battling for position. Kelly currently in the pit lane, probably repairing damages or just sitting and admiring the view from the cockpit of their car. The McLaren of Pasquier. Very, very close. They're going side by side into the bus stop. We've seen this happen before. Pasquier thinks better of it, but it did look like they were going to try for it again, even though they'd seen what happened on the last lap, and there was a bit of a bump there from Pasquier, I think, coming into turn number 5. This train is getting closer and closer. Let's move on to the wing cam. We have the McLaren and the 2 Ferraris following them. A gap very close behind. I think there's about a second between all of them. So all these drivers within a second of each other. And it looks like Lichi, again, he's still leading the way, but he has the pressure of knowing there are 3 cars behind him. I guess that pressure can be alleviated a little bit with a 15-second penalty for the number 23 car. I will try and figure out what this was. Yeah, so this was for the lap 19 collision between number 23 and number 3. There was a position gained from this, so this was a 15-second penalty slam dunk for the number 23 car. So, going back to Pasquier, Vaselli and Nikkonen, who are all still very close to each other. And again, even just sticking behind Lichi, they're all going to gain that position anyway. Because that 15-second penalty, Pasquier is going to try for another move into the bus stop chicane, are they? He's seen how that's worked before. Lichi's been able to keep it just ahead one more time. Pasquier, Vaselli and Nikkonen again just following that Ferrari behind. Vaselli, again, he's working his way into that McLaren's mirrors, trying to get in his head. Again, this isn't just about where you, like, your skill in terms of racing. That is a spun car. That is Sachin, who has spun it at toe corner. It seems like even front engine cars are prone to spinning on the exit there. Pasquier braking on the grass a little bit, nearly slides into Lici. Thankfully, no contact between the two, but this battle might boil over. Again, back to what I was saying, sorry, before I so rudely interrupted myself. Racing isn't just about skill and you know, the car and the setup and all that. A big part of it is playing these sorts of mind games and getting in your opponent's head. Really just trying to understand how a racing driver's brain is going to work, and then playing off of that. There's a lot of psychology involved when it comes to racing, and that is why it's so interesting to see some of these moves getting made, to see how some drivers are able to withstand the pressure of a car that is behind them for an entire race, whether it's just completely locking in for the entire race, or whether it is actually just having that ability to not be driving in your mirrors too much. Pasquier and Lici, again, going side by side at the bus stop. We've seen this happen before. Let's hope this isn't an episode 2. As Vesely, he's pushed off track by Pasquier. He then goes a little bit wide himself into turn 5. Vesely's lost the position out to Nikkonen after trying to get past Pasquier, who'd had a bit of a bad run through the bus stop, but ultimately Vesely ended up losing out to Nikkonen. The number 909 Ferrari making their way up to P6. Pasquier still in P5 on track, but due to the penalty on Lici, it is going to end up being P4. Nikkonen is also looking for a bit of a move up the inside of Pasquier, coming into the heel. There is just enough space that is left, but Nikkonen clouts the curb a little bit too much, unsettles the car, slows him down, and unfortunately that does put him a little bit further back. No overtake for the Finnish driver this time round. Schroederit has seems to have fallen back behind Ustinov, and Boyar and Paul are still very, very close to one another. Actually, they're going side by side, and Paul has just let the McLaren through, I think. Maybe a bit of early braking coming through into turn 6. That's Boyar up into P12. Back to Pasquier, who currently has Nikkonen and Vesely just behind. Going to try and make that move stick. Kragnaz with a 15-second penalty makes a move on Paul's Mustang. At number 96, Porsche has that stop-go 30-second... Oh, no, he doesn't. He had that stop-go 30 and he has served it now. It's Chen who has a stop-go 30. I'm not sure what for. I think it might be for speeding in the pit lane. Pasquier's had an off in the bus stop, which I did miss, so we're going to do another instant replay, because that has given Nikkonen and Vesely another free position as a 888 has gone off at the bus stop chicane. So coming up to the bus stop chicane. Coming up to the bus stop chicane, he has Nikkonen just behind him. And he just unsettles the car, takes too much curb at that second part, holds the brakes, just able to not crash into another car. Unfortunately hits the wall, loses a couple of positions, and yeah, that is Pasquier who has lost that position at the bus stop chicane. Matter of fact, they've lost a lot of positions. They've dropped down now behind Cheshire, so they've lost 3 positions just from that one bit of contact, one bit of running over the curb too much. And that's one thing you've really got to be careful of here at Watkins Glen. It's all about risk management as well, especially through the bus stop chicane. Number 96 of Katchan has also gone off. Perhaps another incident similar to Sessions earlier, where there was a little bit of a snap, overcorrecting the car, ultimately sending them off the track, spinning out. Thankfully able to keep their car out of the wall, but that's a very, very strange incident to be facing, perhaps carrying a bit too much speed coming in too hot into the corner. Going to go back to this battle here for P16 between Steiner and Flynn. Again, 2 BMWs that are fighting for position here. About 4/10 between the two. Both of them have been lapped by the leader at the moment, so they are 1 lap behind on the leading cars. Used to be just ahead of them there. Seems like Chen has now gone into pit lane to serve their stop-go 30-second penalty. Kranaz and Boyar looking for going for a move. Kranaz looking to have made that move into turn 1, which I did miss there, unfortunately. I mean, I can probably go back into the other thing. I can go back and do an instant replay, but I don't think it'll be worth it, because I think Boyar might be looking for another move on the inside. Pulling a little bit of an Alex Albon move, trying to overtake on the grass, which unfortunately doesn't work as well here. All Boyar really needs to do is just stick within 15 seconds of Kranaz, who has a 15-second penalty. Leachy, again, that 15-second penalty as well. RVR seem to be attracting all these different penalties. Not very good for these drivers, who are going to end up losing a lot of positions. Steiner has actually fallen back behind Flynn. I'm not sure when that happened, but I will probably not put it on instant replay, because Leachy and Naikkonen are going to be going side by side into the bus stop chicane. Naikkonen, again, he does think better of it, realises that maybe making that move at the bus stop isn't a risk worth taking, which I'd say 99% of the time it is not worth taking that sort of risk. Paul seems to have fallen back behind Ely. Flynn and Steiner are still very, very close to each other. Right, a second between the two BMWs, who are still going to try and be fighting for position in the last 2 minutes of this race. We have 2 more laps of racing here, as the lead car, the number 80 of Van Nimmen, is currently coming across the finish line. And with 2 minutes left to go in the race, we are going to have 2 more laps. Usaby is still chasing down Van Nimmen in the number 80 Ferrari, but ultimately the RVR driver just seems to have had a really comfortable time just leading the race, basically from lights out. They've just been a solid driver, holding their own. Legru has made their way up into P3 after some very opportunistic moves, just being able to take advantage of other drivers going off the track. Naikkonen looking for a move up the inside of turn number 1. Looks to get that move sticking. Number 23 trying to go for a bit of a switchback. Looking to get a better exit. Through turn 2 and 3 they go side by side. It's the number 23 of Leachy and number 909 of Naikkonen who are going to be fighting each other. And it looks like they've even got Vasily involved. These 3 cars, they aren't going to go 3 wide into the bus stop. They all know better than that. Naikkonen does pull out quite early of this move, but it is Leachy and Naikkonen, or Vasily, sorry, who seem to be going side by side. This has slowed down Naikkonen a little bit and has opened up that gap between Leachy and Naikkonen to a little bit more. About 3/10 now between Leachy and Naikkonen, as well as between Naikkonen and Vasily. This battle for P4 is going to continue on for seemingly the rest of the race. As Naikkonen is now going side by side with Leachy coming into heel corner.
Right, man, leader is on the final lap, give it all you can.
And we are now on the final lap of the race. Naikkonen makes that move into heel corner, brilliantly done by the Finnish driver, able to make their way up into P4 on track. They would have gotten that anyway, just by sticking behind Leachy, but I suppose overtaking them on track is better for the ego. These 3 drivers are going to continue to battle as hard as they possibly can. Coming on to the final lap, it's going to be a 3-way battle for 4th place. Naikkonen swerving across the road. I think he thought the race was over, not realising that there was actually 1 more lap left to go. Vasily looking around the outside of the RVR Ferrari. Number 23 still holding on there. Vaselli and Lici going side by side through turn 2. A little bit of a bump sends Vaselli out wide, who then gets the inside line for the next corner. They are dragging each other along as the RVR Ferrari of Lici holds the inside line. There was a bit of crossover there. I was worried there was going to be a huge incident, but thankfully no harm, no foul, as number 23 of Lici makes their way safely through the bus stop. Vaselli looked like he was going to maybe go for a move, decided to think better of it, and has just kept behind because he knows that with that 15-second penalty, Vaselli will be getting that position basically for free by the end of the race. One driver who has not had to fight for positions at any point during this race, as is Rommel van Nimmen, who is in the number 80 RVR Ferrari, pulling their way through the final corner, and they're going to be taking the finish line, taking that checkered flag to win 60 minutes of Watkins Glen with ACM. Brilliant job from this RVR driver, the number 80 Ferrari, dominant, drifting through the first corner, and well, maybe not as good as Mark, unfortunately. We'll have to sign them up to Mark's Drifting Academy. Userby finishing P2, and Legrue is going to be finishing in 3rd place. Naikkonen and Lici and Vaselli seem to be continuing a fight. Vaselli is alongside. There's a bit of a bump again between the two. Lici's defence looking very, very aggressive. And while Lici looks to be finishing P5 on track, they're going to be dropping down by about 15 seconds, giving Vaselli an effective P5 finish by the time they cross that finish line. A fantastic drive from the number 24 Ferrari. Pesquier is breaking the train of Ferraris in the top 10, with Harry Goswell taking P9 just behind, and Halligon being the final car in the top 10 to finish, making it 8 different drivers in the Ferrari 296 finishing in the top 10 of this race. As well as that, 4 of these drivers are all from one team, the RVR team, who have all put in a mammoth effort today. Very, very good job from the entirety of the RVR team. Harry is doing donuts off the track. Again, all these racing celebrations are brilliant, well, when you do them off the track. Maple has Kragnaz just behind them, and there's another Ford Mustang just behind. I think that is Ustinov finishing P19. Brilliant job from the number 35 driver. And the last driver to finish is Renap. But ultimately, here is our winner of today's race, Van Nimmen, in P1 in the number 80 RVR Ferrari, followed by Userby in the RSR Ferrari, with Legrue just behind them, doing donuts in the sand in the RVR Ferrari, finishing off the podium. Naikkonen in the number 909 Ferrari 296, with Vaselli rounding out the top 5. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure racing with you all today. Well, I wasn't racing, but it has been an honour to commentate this race and to bring this racing action to you all today. I have been Derg. Thank you again for watching ACM, and we will see you in the next one. Welcome to ACC Career Mode by ACM Racing. ACC Career Mode is back and better than ever, with a 3-month-long series containing over 50 races with mixed formats and challenges. Team up with friends to manage your finances, car performance and sponsor contracts, or go solo and manage your favourite car across the whole season, utilising the daily, weekly and monthly challenges to add some spice to your online racing. The best thing? You decide your career, with 7 different paths to choose from. Minimum effort is no effort. ACC Career Mode Quarter 1 contains 5 races a week, all stewarded and commentated live, with a range of formats from 4 to 12 hour endurance races to 25-minute sprints. The full race calendar is available at acm-racing.com, with individual race sign-up taking place on SimGrid. Only available on Assetto Corsa Competizione PC European-based league.